Welcome Strategy Battle Gamers to another GBHL YouTube channel video. You're here with your channel host GBHL James, and it's my job today to bring you a video which is going to tell you in detail about our next tournament, our next GBHL YouTube channel tournament, which is going to be happening in October this year. This is the Re-Desolation of Stockport 2015. So of course we are known for running the largest UK independent events. They've been incredibly popular, especially for overseas players coming over and traveling over here, and for getting lots of new guys involved in the hobby. And of course that's because of our platform with the channel. Very good events. We've obviously enjoyed running them, and this is the latest instalment. We did have a bit of trouble with the name because GBHL Jamie did name our last Desolation of Stockport event Desolation of Stockport 2015. I can't remember who suggested it, but this is the Re-Desolation, and hopefully yet again we're going to be bringing something different and interesting and great fun. I'm going to be talking you through the rules pack so you know what to expect, and for those guys who aren't all over the Great British Hobbit League Facebook group, this should give you some links in the description below for the rules pack, how you can get tickets, where the tournament is, how many points we're going to be playing at, what scenarios you're going to be playing, and all of the other fun stuff that are in tournament rules packs. So the Re-Desolation of Stockport 2015. We are going to be doing this on Saturday the 3rd and Sunday the 4th of October. This is a two-day event, and you know what that means, guys. That means that there's going to be much merriment to be had over that weekend, so definitely take that weekend out. Lots of guys like to come up on the Friday evening, get some games at the Northwest Gaming Centre, which is our current home for our Desolation of Stockport series of events. People come up on the Friday, catch up, film some battle reports, have a good bit of banter, go for some drinks and some food on the Friday night, and then the tournament starts on the Saturday. So for those of you who haven't been to the Northwest Gaming Centre before, okay, it is at Hallam Business Centre on Hallam Street in Stockport. The address, the postcode, sorry, is SK26PT. For more information about the Northwest Gaming Centre venue, just go on to www.northwestgamingcentre.co.uk. There is also a Facebook group for that if you are not sure. One of the great things about Northwest Gaming Centre is it isn't actually that far from Stockport train station, which is very accessible from across the UK, as most trains that have to travel up to Manchester do have to stop off at Stockport along the way. Now let's talk a little bit more about who can come to this event. We do ask for players of age 12 and over are completely welcome. Anybody under the age of 16 must be accompanied by a parent or guardian. Now we have had questions in the past from players, younger players, and their parents. Do the parents have to pay for a ticket in order to come down? No, of course not. If you're just observing and you're just there to supervise, then of course you don't have to buy a ticket. It's just for the kids. Okay. Now for those who wish to purchase alcohol, because this is a very social event, the Northwest Gaming Centre does operate a very strict Challenge 25 rule. So of course if you are fortunate enough to be asked for ID, don't be offended. Make sure that you've got some identification, because this is going to be another good fun event. In terms of hotels and transport links, now it's become a bit of a sort of a well-known cultish thing, as most Great British Hobbit League venues have. There are particular venues where the SPG community tends to descend onto. The one that people tend to for the Northwest Gaming Centre is the Britannia Hotel, which is in Stockport. It is a no-frills hotel. If you want to go for something posher, then by all means go and have a little look. But the Britannia, it's not too far a walk. It's about a 5-minute walk from the Northwest Gaming Centre. Plenty of parking and stuff there if you are driving up. And most of the Hobbit community do tend to stay there. Now, if you are travelling up on your own and you want to save yourself a bit of money, of course, you can ask the community if you want to share a room. This might seem strange to some of you who maybe haven't been to a tournament before, but it is a normal practice for our Hobbit SPG community events. So maybe get yourself onto the Facebook page, especially our event group if you are on Facebook, and start asking there. If you're not on Facebook, of course, you can ask in the comment section below and see if there's anybody who wants to share a room with you and save yourself some money. Okay, so how much do the tickets cost? Well, the tickets are, for the whole weekend, is £30, okay, £30 per ticket. Now, normally we do operate an early bird ticketing system. However, to support Jamie build up his Patreon backing, you can only get a discount, a £25 ticket, if you are supporting Jamie on Patreon. So if you are supporting Jamie on Patreon, make sure you contact him and he will effectively allow that to happen so that you can pay less. But it's £30 for the weekend. That is that includes lunch on both days. Now lunch, the last couple of times that we've been at the Northwest Gaming Centre, has been like a Subway sandwich buffet, which has worked really well. I understand a couple of other venues are going to start adopting that as well, because it is quite a good little feature. Now from that ticket, as soon as you order, a non-refundable £5 deposit will be taken from each ticket. This is very, very important, because as you book, we do submit the numbers into Northwest Gaming Centre, and that is non-refundable to us. So unfortunately, once you do start to pay, you will not get £5 of your ticket price back, so do make sure that you can come. Okay, now we do want everybody to book in advance, so it gives us an idea of the numbers. If you cannot do that, if you cannot book in advance, and you just find out a couple of days before that you're going to make it, and you come down, you pay by cash, then we do ask for a cash payment on the day, just for the extra admin of obviously looking through your army lists and your rules pack and adjusting numbers, etc., to see if we need a ringer and all that kind of thing. Okay. Now you all must pre-register, and you must pre-register by emailing ilovewargaming@gmail.com no later than the 1st of October 2015 at midnight. Okay, so if you are coming to this event, you must email us to register, and that's ilovewargaming@gmail.com. Now, importantly, to purchase your tickets, of course, we no longer have the online purchasing system, so we do ask that people do this by PayPal and transfer to ilovewargaming@gmail.com no later than the 1st of October 2015. If again you are planning on paying later than that, you can pay on the day, but it is £10 extra on top. Please include your full name in the notes of the transfer. This is important so we can put you on our list. If you are unable to PayPal this account, which has happened the last few times, we've had it where about 60-70% of you can pay fine against that account, but sometimes people can't, then of course you can try j_clarkey2003@hotmail.com, or you can make a BACS transfer to 090128 as a sort code, 34515856 as an account number, and again leave your name, and that's the way to pay for it. Okay, so now we've got some of the official stuff. Let's talk about some of the more exciting stuff, which is the army composition. A lot of you have been really waiting out for this to see what we would do this time. Of course, last year with the league final, we did something really different with the escalation. The escalation style tournament. We've gone for something a bit different this time, which has actually borrowed some ideas from some of the other tournament organisers in the Great British Hobbit League. You will need one force. This is single army. You don't need two armies. This is single army, good or evil. Up to, but not exceeding 700 points. This is a 700-point tournament. There are a few 700-point tournaments towards the end of this year, so you should have plenty of practice for this. Of course, a big part of that is because we want to see if anybody who has spent and invested in buying themselves a Smaug, whether you are going to bring it to this tournament. Now, what is key for this is it's not just 700 points. The most expensive one or two models in your army must equal or exceed 250 points. Now, this is something that was introduced as a rule by Sam Page of Mid Sussex Wargamers a few tournaments ago. And I thought it works really well. What that does is it allows the bigger points games to be played in less time, and it allows people to bring their bigger, more exciting toys that maybe from a competitive view might not be brought out at those kind of points costs sometimes, because they take up a lot of points. So what we want to see from this is we want to see your Aragorns and your Striders and your Boromirs and all of your Wizards, and we want to see all of these big things, your Beorns. You know, you can bring these into your lists, okay? So that's the most expensive one or two models in your army must equal or exceed 250 points. Now, for profiles which have a number of models include them, such as the King's Champion, the Twins, Murin and Dra, those guys, that counts as one selection. So, for example, if you decide to take two King's Champions, which comes to the 250 points, 125 points each, then of course you are getting 6 models for that. The banners and everything, it all counts as a single model choice. Okay, and of course these are from any of the source books. So you know, Kings of Men, Free Peoples, Fallen Realms, Moria and Angmar, Mordor, Hobbit on an Unexpected Journey, Hobbit Desolation Smaug, and Hobbit Battle of 5 Armies. It's also important that you determine your leader, who must remain your leader for the force for the entire tournament. This must be clear on your printed army list, and the army list must be submitted when you come to register on the morning of the event. It's very important when you turn up to these events that you come straight over towards the TO table, as it were, and you bring your army list, printed army list, make sure it's eligible so we can have a look through it, because of course we need to check points values and stuff, and make sure it's clearly printed. Now what I might do is put a template up for you guys to download if you don't know what an army list should look like. But normally you list it in terms of your heroes, how many points, what war gear they've got, what points that all comes to, the war bands that they're leading, etc. And make sure you put things on there for your own benefit really, such as your break point, your number of models, mites, all that kind of stuff. Okay, so army restrictions. There are no restrictions really for what you want to bring. If you want to bring an evil army, you can bring them from any evil army from the source book, that's absolutely fine. But models must be fully painted and based. Remember that we will be recording over the course of this event, and it's important that those recordings are an advert for our hobby. So it is important that you bring nicely painted models, and of course that increases the experience and the enjoyable experience for your opponents that play you. Okay. Wherever possible, models must be WYSIWYG. What you see is what you get, and we're happy for players to showcase conversions. Okay. However, if you plan to use counts at models, it's important that you contact us so that we can give you the thumbs up or thumbs down for that, and we'll let you know. Usually, if some effort has gone into a conversion of some kind and it's clear to your opponent what is what, then that's absolutely fine. We want cool stuff here. Now, Middle-earth and the boards. Now, one thing that we have been famous of, and we have been lucky with the Northwest Gaming Centre, is it is a huge venue, and there's a tremendous amount of terrain, and each time that people have come and played at the Northwest Gaming Centre, we have done our best to recreate Middle-earth, and I'm hoping to try and acquire a little bit more terrain coming into this of my own, so that we can immerse you in that Middle-earth experience. Now, the games will be played on 4x4 boards, not 6x4, 4x4 boards. Okay, which is very important. Now we do ask that you do not move any of the terrain. If you feel that any terrain needs moving because of a particular scenario, then make sure that you come and speak to a tournament organizer first and foremost. That is very important. If you are across the table from someone who wants to move the terrain, again, get the TO down, because we obviously don't want this to be weighted in different ways or to put anybody at a disadvantage beyond what we've already set up at random. Okay. In terms of what bits of terrain count as, we will provide a key on the day, because there might be some interesting different terrain, but standard kind of rules tend to apply. So for example, if there is woodland on a base, so several bits of woodland on one base, that would be woodland terrain. Rivers all tend to be shallow streams, therefore cavalry aren't affected, and it's just half movement for infantry. And we don't like people being able to deploy things on top, and where possible, unless there's a particular reason for it. You know, you want to eliminate situations where people are deploying on top of rock faces and there'd be climb tests and all that kind of stuff. A lot of those things will be impassable. Okay, so that is the boards that you're playing on. So remember, that's 4x4 boards. We also have a Warriors Code. Okay, now we really want to encourage a positive environment. Bilbo, what are you doing? No. Bilbo's messing with his cage down there. We want to encourage a positive environment, and therefore we do have a Warriors Code. It's important that we create a fantastic atmosphere which really welcomes all of the new people that are going to be coming to our event. What are you doing? I love the fact that I can fully read Bilbo now, and I know exactly when he needs a wee and a poo. He's not had any. You've got 100% success rate with me, buddy, haven't you? Okay, let's get him up here. Okay, so as we were saying, Warriors Code, very important. Okay, we don't want any cheating at this event, and we don't want anybody to fall below the standards that we set. Okay, so for example, that final draft army list must be submitted. Okay, now we do ask for it to be emailed for us to check over in advance. That does make it easier, but at the very least, make sure you bring a printed, eligible copy for us to check over on the morning of registration. All armies must be fully painted and based. We've already said that. Part of the enjoyment of playing strategy battle game comes from playing against wonderfully painted armies. We expect all players to play in the spirit of SBG in a fun and forgiving manner to ensure everybody has a happy experience with the event. Now we say that, some people say, well, fun and forgiving, it's quite a broad interpretation. Not really, and what we mean by that is that there will be new people at this event, and we want people who have played for some time with some experience to make sure that those people feel welcome, because ultimately this hobby will only survive if new people are encouraged to stay as part of the community. So think of yourselves as teachers, experienced players, and don't take advantage of those new people. Okay? Anybody not adhering to our simple code will not receive their Warriors Code tournament points, or more serious allegations of cheating or being unpleasant may result in total qualification. Now, in terms of the tournament points, that isn't actually applicable in this, because the tournament is going to be running a slightly different way, which you'll find out soon. Okay. However, people of which there are consistent complaints about, we will ask, will be disqualified. We won't give you a refund, but that's never had to happen before. So just play nice, guys. That's what that means. Okay, so tournament scoring. Now, this is one of the areas where some of the real fun of this particular event will come in. And just like I have borrowed the most expensive model, 250 points, from Sam Page, I have borrowed some of the ideas of this from the very wonderful SBG doubles event that I attended a few months ago, which was run by our very own GBHL Damien and Tom. Okay, so tournament scoring. So day one, a total of 80 tournament points are available on the first day of the event. That's 80 tournament points. A win gives you 20 tournament points, a draw gives you 10 tournament points, a loss gives you 0, and if you concede, that's -1 tournament points. Conceding is if you decide partway through the game that you are not going to play the game and not going to give your opponent the gratification of continuing and winning, or if you just simply do not turn up or are ridiculously late for the event. Okay, so the first day, and this is 4 games on the first day, we'll use Swiss ranking to determine the draw. So this is, if you win your games, it is very likely that you will play someone else who won their games who is on similar victory points. Okay. Beyond the first random draw, so of course the first game will be random, and I will not be doing a video release of that first round draw. I think it's much better if people do not plan against what they might come up against because they know they're playing a certain player in the first game. That's personal preference. With victory points difference being used for the tiebreakers, so that's victory points difference, not total VPs, followed by total victory points. So it is just as important to try and score as many as you can. It's just as important to try and defend against enemy VPs, because it's the difference between them which will be the tiebreaker, as it were. After 4 games, we will announce our champion of Middle-earth, the player who reigned on day 1. So effectively, day 1 is a tournament unto itself. Okay, and we want people to try and win that first day event. The champion of Middle-earth will receive a fantastic prize. Okay, so this is just on the first day of the event. It is effectively like winning a one-day event, one-day tournament, just by doing one on the first day. You can do terrible on the second day, but the first day you can try and win and become the champion of Middle-earth. Okay, now the purpose of the first day is actually to establish a seeding for day 2. Okay, the top 8 players after day 1 will enter the Lord of Middle-earth group and will compete to win the group and the overall tournament through a cup-style draw. So again, it's really important that you do well on that first day and you try and get yourself into that top 8 players. Okay, and as you can see, because victory points difference is so important, then that's really got to be considered when playing those scenarios. So only the top 8 will go into that Lord of Middle-earth draw. Okay, the bottom 8 players, so these are the guys who did the worst on day 1, the worst 8 players on day 1, you're actually going to have something really cool to play for on day 2, and again this is borrowed from the group style system that the SBG doubles tournament did. Okay, you'll be entered into the Soldier of Middle-earth group and you will compete to win the group for a cup style draw, which we'll go on to the cup style draw shortly. But as you can see there, even if you do terribly on day 1, you will then play against the 7 other worst players and you will go for a prize which is as good as the prize for the person who wins the Lord of Middle-earth group. So the bottom 8 players have got everything to play for against each other on day 2. Now, of course, the middle group isn't going to be 8 players. Okay, we are a record-breaking event. We have had in excess of 60 players turn up to our tournament so far, and this is ever growing. And hopefully, we can breach the 70-player barrier for this event, which would be absolutely amazing. Okay, so it's very likely that then the middle group of players is going to be a very, very large group. Okay, these guys will be entered into another group, which will be the retainer of Middle-earth group. Okay, and they will play 3 Swiss ranked games to compete for that group. Okay, so again, you can see here how important your victory points are going to be. So very, very, very important. Now each group has a first and second prize. And all of those prizes, whether you are in the Lord of Middle-earth group, the Retainer of Middle-earth group, or the Soldier of Middle-earth group, these are all just as good as each other. So everybody's got everything to play for on the second day, no matter how well you did on the first day. So that's pretty cool, isn't it? Okay. Now, for the purposes of the Great British Hobbit League, so anybody who is actually trying to compete for the league or is following their league points over the course of the year, the league points will be determined by the final placings in this order, which is first to 8th place in the Lord of Middle-earth group, then top to bottom place in the Retainer of Middle-earth group, and then finally top to bottom place in the Soldier of Middle-earth group. So the purpose of league points, of course, where you come in your group, and then how that spreads from the top group, the middle group, and the bottom group will determine how many league points you get. Now, the cup style draw on day 2, the way that this will work, especially for the, so this is only relevant for the Lord of Middle group top group, Lord of Middle-earth top group and the Soldier of Middle-earth bottom group, the 8 players. The player who came first, the Champion Middle-earth group, Middle-earth from day 1, he will play against the person who came 8th, and so on and so forth. Okay, and this will be just like a tournament tier system. What's good about this system is that in order to win your group, you have to win all of your games. You have to win all 3 of your final games. Now, this is going to be a little bit different for the middle group, because there might be a situation where quite a few of you win all 3 of your games, depending on how many people are at the tournament, but then you can see how important victory points is going to be as well. So on the second day, really, you must try and win all of your points to win your group. Okay, now that you know the structure, and you can see that's a little bit different there, a little bit exciting, let's talk about what you need to bring on a day. Well, this is pretty standard stuff, okay, but it's good to go through for anybody who's a new person. So make sure that you bring one fully painted and based army, any source books with rules for your models. Now, FAQs will be available on the day, because we do have those documents, but I would suggest that you go and print off your own FAQs and put them in your source books as a good rule of practice anyway. A copy of this rules pack is important. Now, you will notice either when you click on the link below or if you go onto the Facebook group that this is a very ornate and pretty looking rules pack. Wanted it to look pretty cool, okay, and that might kill off a lot of your ink. What I suggest that you do is that you wait out for a more basic copy, which I will release, which you can download and print off. However, I am going to make printouts available on the day. Now, 2 copies of your army list are also pretty important. I would say 3 is good practice. 1 for the tournament organiser when you come and you submit it and you give it in registration. 1 for your opponent as well. This is quite important. So when you get to the games, you can give them the army list and obviously talk them and explain them through your army. This is a good opportunity, especially if you're playing someone you've not played before, to tell them how your army works, what's in there, is there anything in there that they're not sure of what it does, and educate your player. This isn't the kind of game where it's like you don't allow your opponent to know what's going on. Okay, all of the standard stuff, so tape measures handy, dice, glue in case any of your models break is pretty handy, pens, markers is pretty good for putting down wounds or objective markers, etc. Also, a tray is pretty handy. The Northwest Gaming Centre doesn't have any trays, so if you do bring a tray with you, that'd be good, and that's going to make it a lot easier for you to carry your forces around. Now, tournament prizes. Now, none of this is set in stone yet, but I will let you know who will win the prizes. All players will receive a small exclusive keepsake for attending this event. So everybody who comes down will attend something, will get something. We will also have prizes for Best Painted, which will be a player's vote. Most Sporting after day 1, okay, so this is all about the day 1 tournament effectively, who was the most sporting on day 1. The Best Themed Fluff, this is also a player's vote, this will happen at the same time as Best Painted, okay. So Themed Fluff, I want you to look at an army and the most fluffy. Now, that doesn't just mean theme, it also means has that army picked various things at the expense of how competitive it's going to be. So they pick certain things because they know that's not going to help them. They put themselves at a bit of a detriment just for the sake of theme and fluff, okay? And these are the things you've got to think about when picking your most themed fluff. Has that army, has that player put themselves at a disadvantage in the name of fluff? Have they given themselves a disadvantage in the name of fluff? Are they worthy of that award? Okay, Champion of Middle-earth, of course, is the day 1 tournament winner. They will win something, and day 1 runner-up will also get something as well. And then, of course, we've got the day 2 big prizes: Soldier of Middle-earth group winner and the runner-up, the Retainer of Middle-earth group winner and the Retainer of Middle-earth runner-up, and then we've also got the Lord of Middle-earth tournament winner and the tournament runner-up. Okay, these are the guys who win the Lord of Middle-earth group. Okay, now there are also in-game rewards which are going to be pretty important going into day 2. The votes and nominations for Best Painted Army, Most Sporting after day 1, and the Best Themed Fluff will take place throughout day 1. This is probably going to happen for Best Painted, and the Best Themed Fluff will happen at lunchtime, and of course Most Sporting will happen at the end of the day after your final game. Now, not only will the winner of these receive an overall prize, which we will do a presentation for, but they will also receive a top secret right now, but fairly significant in-game reward, which will be announced at the end of day 1 that they can use in all 3 of their games on the final day. Now, these are going to be significant, really significant. Okay, these are going to be things which will help you beat certain armies. You can think about what you think that means, but if you get voted for, if you're just a nice guy on day 1 and you get Most Sporting, trust me, that card will help you massively on day 2 and give you a huge chance of winning whatever group that you are in that day. So having a nicely painted army, having a really fluffy themed army that puts you at a bit of a disadvantage, this card will probably turn that around, and being a nice person to play against, giving nice games for your opponent, will also give you something cool. These will be on little cards, and again, this is an idea that was borrowed from Damien and Tom. You know, imitation is the what is it? Imitation is the sincerest of I don't know what it is. Okay, so let's talk a little bit about the schedule. So you can see there's some cool things here. We've got 700 point tournament, top 1 or 2 models must equal or exceed 250 points. We've got a very different style of system where we've got effectively a day 1 winner, and then you've got seedings which put you in groups for day 2, which give you an opportunity to win just as good a prize if you're in the bottom 8 as when you're in the top 8, in the middle, etc, etc. So the way that this is going to work, the event schedule, day 1, 9 until 9:30 on day 1 on Saturday is day 1 registration. Okay, the first game will start at 9:30, so make sure that you are at the venue in plenty of time. Quinn Duggan, I am specifically referring to you, pal. Do not be late. Do not be late. Anybody who is more than 10 minutes late, whether you get there or not, will automatically concede your game with maximum VPs to your opponent. Okay, and we don't really want that, considering the kind of VP difference that this is going to be. It's not fair on everybody else, so make sure you're there on time. Game 1 is to the death. This is standard to the death. This is the banners. This is no modifications at all. This is something I was quite keen about on day 1. The champion of Middle Earth effectively has to be a master of some of the original sourcebook scenarios. Day 2, that all changes. So the first game is to the death, and the game is 1 hour and 45 minutes long. This is not a dice down event. This is finish the turn that you are on. Make sure you all play at a reasonable pace throughout, okay? Do not feel that you have to be rushed or are in a rush to get onto the next turn for the advantage or disadvantage of your opponent. Just carry on playing at the same speed, okay? Just carry on playing at the same speed that you were playing before. Don't slow down, don't speed up, just play normal, okay? So that's to the death, and you'll finish at 11:15. Okay, the next game will start at 11:30 and will go on until 1:15, and that will be Reconnoiter. Again, not modified at all. This is game 2 Reconnoiter. Okay, so of course this is the one where you've got to get all your models off the board. Then we're going to have lunch, which is at 1:15 until 2:15, and during that time, before you go and eat your lunch, make sure that you put your armies out. That's everybody. Everybody must get their armies out and put them up for presentation. Make sure you leave a note with who you are next to your army as well, so that it makes it easy for people to vote, so they're not going, I'm voting for the dwarves that have got the blue shields. Okay, make sure you make it easy by putting your name clearly next to your army. Okay, then go and get yourself some lunch, and when you've had your lunch, go around and you can make your selections for what you think is the best painted army and what you think is the best themed fluff. Okay, then you can bring your nomination over to the TO table and just write it down on the slip that will be given to you to do so. And then after lunch at 2:30, we're going to go for our third game of the day, which is going to be Hold Ground. So again, not modified at all. This is Hold Ground. Remember, that is the one where you've got the Maelstrom of battle for coming in. And then from 4:30 until 6:15, we're going to have Domination, standard Domination. Now at 6:30, we're going to have a day 2 draw, Okay, plus day one awards. This is where we'll award the best painted, the best themed fluff, the most sporting awards, and also the champion of day one. So the champion of Middle Earth plus the day one runner-up. We'll give you the draw as well, so you've got an idea of what groups you're in on day two and who you're going to be playing and at what tables. You can be organised when you come in. And then from 7 o'clock we're going to have a tournament meal and drinks. Now for the tournament meal, it looks like we will be going to Amici's. Amici's is a little, sort of, well, I say little, it's an Italian restaurant place which is very popular with local hen parties and work do's, and has been really, really good fun for us in the past. The food is pretty cheap and the drinks are pretty good. It turns into a little bit of a disco. If that is not your thing and you don't want to socialise with members of the Hobbit community, then feel free to do whatever you want. What we have done in the past is, after we've had some drinks at Amici's, providing that the venue manager Darren is quite happy for us to do so, we have been able to go back to the Northwest Gaming Centre to play various different games and have a bit of fun in the evening. So then we've got the schedule for day two. Day two registration is 9:30 until 10, so you've got a little bit more of a line than day one. That's to recognise the fact that some of you might have a bit of heavy heads after day one. The first game of day two starts at 10 o'clock, and again it's now 45. And game one is Custom Scenario Scouts. Now there is a battle report on this channel which has all the details for how Scouts works. It is effectively a form of reconnoitre where you nominate 5 models that must be warriors. They must be single wound warrior models, and they become your scouts, and you have to try and get them off the board. You get a VP for each one that you get off the board. There are also other conditions for winning and points on there, but check the rules pack below. All of these scenarios are modified the modified scenarios are in there, and that's going to be scouts. Now remember, if you're playing in the Lord of Middle Earth group or in the Soldier of Middle Earth group, that does mean that the first game that you must win is scouts, so bear this in mind. Okay, the second game will happen at after lunch, so we're going to have lunch from 12 until 1, a little bit earlier, again just to represent the fact that some of you will be in a bad way. And we'll also try and do some games and some trivia and stuff, maybe get a quiz going, or have just a little bit of fun and games on lunch day two. That's not been set in stone yet, but it should be something that's quite good fun. And then our second game of day two will be 1 until 2:45, and that's going to be the custom scenario modified Seize the Prize. This is the one where you have to go to the middle, try and dig up the prize. You must try and take the prize off your opponent's board edge. You get VPs for holding the prize in your own half, which is less than holding it in your opponent's half, which is less than getting it off your opponent's board edge, and I think breaking is also in there as well. Okay, and then the final game, which will be from 3 o'clock until 4:45, is the Custom Scenario Challenge of Champions. It is a modified version of Hold Ground, where the game starts with your 2 leaders in the centre ground locked in combat. Now there are rules such as Pride, which means that these 2 leaders must, wherever possible, charge each other as their movement. The game starts that combat phase, and then there is effectively on turn 2 a phase of deployment, each alternate deployment. It's not a moving on, so you can't do anything else. It's a form of deployment, and then the game carries on from there. Your goal really is for your leader to better the opponent's leader, and then for your army to effectively play then hold ground or take and hold over the dead general's body, and there are VPs for that. Now I really wanted to do that one because it is a pretty cool looking scenario. It's a pretty cool scenario. Okay, so that is the final game of day 2. And that means that from 5 until 5:30, so not too late, so anybody who's travelling from quite a while, you've got a chance to get off and hopefully get home without it being too late. We are going to have an awards ceremony, and of course then we're going to give all of the prizes for the winners of the different groups. I have cut down the time of the awards ceremony by, of course, awarding some of the awards such as Best Painted, Most Sporting after day 1, etc. on that first day. Now all of the game times last for 1 hour and 45 minutes. We'll give you regular updates on how long remains. When time is called, players must quickly as possible complete the turn that they're on and hand in their results. Again, if the game is going at a normal pace and you realise you've got 30 seconds left, don't suddenly speed up to try and get the next turn in. Just carry on playing at your pace and just accept the fact that if you're playing at normal pace, that turn's probably going to be your last turn. Okay. Lunch. Now, before players head for lunch, you'll be asked to put your armies out on display on a selected group of tables, so all armies can receive nominations for best painted and best themed club. Players then can queue for lunch, which should be a Subway sandwich, buffet and crisps. After eating the lunch, please use the slips provided to make your nomination and pass them to the TO's table. So again, just reiterating something we went through before. For custom scenarios, all of the rules for each custom scenario can be found on this rules pack. Again, this is in the description below, or if you're on the Facebook event group, click that you go in, have a little look on there. Saturday evening activity, as I said before, we're going to try and go to a Michi's for some food. Let us know if you can make that. I will presume that everybody is coming, because last time everybody came, so we had over 50 of us going, which was really, really good. And then hopefully we'll go back to the Northwest Gaming Centre for some games, whether that is some Guild Ball or some card games or whatever else that you want to play. So again, there's some stuff there about presentations and awards ceremony. I've also put here post-tournament meal. We'll understand that lots of you will be keen to start making your journeys back again, but we do invite everybody who has the chance to, who is maybe staying on Sunday night, to come for a meal on the Sunday evening. I will try and book something for a minimum of maybe 10 people, but let me know in advance if you want to stay on Sunday evening, and we'll go for somewhere a little bit posher for some food. We'll go for some man versus food, and see if we can get in somewhere there. So if you are keen on coming and doing that on Sunday night, let me know in advance. Now we put here Monday filming and games. Some of you will have travelled quite far, might want to be quite keen to test your mettle against the channel hosts. Of course, this is a busy weekend for us, and we found in the past we've been over ambitious with how many filmed games we've tried to get in. But we'll try and do some filmed games on the Monday and on the Friday. If you do want to participate in a filmed game, let us know in advance and we'll try and get you in on either of those days, but don't be offended if we can't, because of course it is a busy weekend for us, and of course taking that weekend out can make it pretty tough as well. Okay, one thing that I would like to say is, for anybody who does come to this tournament, thank you so much. Okay, coming to these Desolation events at Stockport and making them the busiest and most popular in terms of numbers events really does help support the channel. I have to say, in terms of, you know, you have different ways of supporting your GBHL channel hosts. Of course, you have Patreon for Jamie, as he has left his job. That's a really good way of supporting Jamie. And of course you have SBG magazine with Damien and Tom. Okay, the only way really of supporting me with this channel is to make sure that you get yourself down to these tournaments, and of course that does help Jamie as well, as he has left his job. So do come down and support us. By coming to our events, it makes it much easier for us to keep on taking days off to produce content for you guys. Now, if you've got any questions at all, you can let us know. If you are not on the event group itself, on Facebook, which you can check out just by going onto the Great British Hobbit League Facebook group, apply to get on there, get yourself accepted on there, check the events tab, check out the Re-Desolation Stockport 2015 and put your questions in there. If you're not on Facebook, then email ilovewargaming@gmail.com, so that we've got a really good idea about who is coming. Do try and purchase your tickets as soon as possible. Now, we have had issues in the past where because there's been a slow uptake early on with tickets, that the venue owner has then opened up some of the venue to other tournaments such as X-Wing, etc., which does put a limit on us, and we don't want a situation where, because only 20 tickets are sold early on, that another tournament, a Warhammer tournament or whatever else, is allowed to come into the venue, and then there is a limit on us and people miss out. It would be fantastic if we could get over 70 people this time. Let's make it happen, guys. I look forward to hopefully seeing you all at the Re-Desolation of Stockport 2015. It's going to be another great tournament, a lot of people's favourite events, although there are obviously many to choose from. So hopefully I look forward to seeing some of you guys there. You can also ask questions, of course, in the comment section below. Hope you didn't mind this talky video where I just talk you through the rules pack. What I will try and do is maybe just put me up to the side, and then in the video have it so that you can actually see individual pages of the rules pack coming up. We'll see what we can do there. Don't forget, as always, to comment, like, share and subscribe. Like us on Facebook and follow us on Twitter to support your Hobbit hobby, guys. Happy strategy battle gaming, and see you all at the Re-Desolation of Stockport 2015.